This is where you learn exactly why understanding native English speakers can be so difficult. Plus, I'll give you some super simple things that you can do today that will help you overcome this problem, so you can have effortless and enjoyable conversations in English. Let's do this. So why is it so difficult anyway? Well, there are a lot of reasons. First, the pronunciation of conversational speech is nothing like the spelling of English words. Speakers often drop sounds, as in the word comfortable or favorite. And when a word like entered is pronounced like entered, or printed is pronounced as printed. Words like of are pronounced like and a word like her might be pronounced as That makes things so much more complicated. Plus, there are words in English that are pronounced multiple ways and accepted in multiple different pronunciations. So a word like data or data are both acceptable, or basil and basil. Even a word like sure versus sure. That definitely confuses things, doesn't it? Then we have assimilations. This means that as we're transitioning from one sound to another, other sounds kind of insert themselves as a result of the transition. So it sounds like we're inserting new sounds that were not in the word at all. Like in the word bedroom, you might hear a little bit of a j sound when there's no J in that word. Or an entrance. Entrance, you might hear a CH sound in there. Ch-ch-ch. Entrance. Another reason is because speech is linked together. So speech doesn't have isolated words. They're all squished together, which makes it really difficult to decipher because all of those words mingle into one. On top of that, we have something called co-articulation. This means that we're actually anticipating the sound that's going to come in the future. So our lips and our jaw and our mouth creates the position of the next sound before we've even said it, during a current sound. This means we're actually pronouncing multiple sounds and parts of the pronunciation at the same time. An example might be the word see. At the S sound, I was already smiling for an E-E-E pronunciation. See. But if I had the word so, my S is now rounded because I'm anticipating the O rounding of that vowel. So. The S's are actually pronounced differently. Then we have contractions, like these'll instead of these will, and those'll. Those will. Lots of contractions occur in conversational speech that you might not see in written form of English. And if you don't know what the contractions are, it makes it very, very difficult to identify what was actually said. We've got lots of reductions in spoken English as well. Reductions are when we reduce a word to something more neutral, and often sounds are deleted because of it. A word like you, the full pronunciation, you, gets reduced to yeah. On top of that, we have informal speech, slang words and idioms that can really help confuse the pronunciation of the words you're expecting to hear. An example might be, I bet you to I betcha. On top of that, we have stress differences in English. So depending on where we stress or create higher pitch, emphasis, loudness, and length of the syllable, will actually change the meaning of a word. So when we have a word like present, the noun, that has one meaning, versus present, the verb, I'm going to present to you, that has an entirely different stress pattern. So if you know the stress rules in English, you're going to be a master at understanding English speech. And on top of that, we have intonation. The intonation patterns that are used in English will indicate meaning. You might have an upward intonation for a question, a yes-no question. Are you sure? Or you might have a downward intonation indicating a statement. Are you sure? And then you might have sarcasm. So it's important to understand the intonation rules of English as well to better understand the meaning. And of course, we always have the contextual cues. What's the context of what's being said? And nonverbal gestures, facial expressions, those all carry a significant portion of meaning in our speech. So if you put all of that together, it totally makes sense. that listening to native English speakers can be really difficult to decipher and understand fully. But I want to help you overcome this. Step number 1 is awareness of all of those 10 issues. So step number 1 is done. That's awesome. You actually already know that there are things to watch out for. Step number 2 is being able to identify those 10 issues in speech. And step number 3 is spending dedicated time on what I call intentional listening, which is what we're going to do next. This is dedicated time listening to not what's being said, but exactly what you hear and how it's being said. And then it involves repeating and listening to the music of what you hear, paying attention to the stress and the emphasis as well. And I'm going to teach you how to do that right now. Now, if you've learned even a tiny tidbit of something that was useful or new to you today, I would really appreciate it if you clicked that like button and shared with someone who you know would benefit from this lesson. This helps me grow this channel and hopefully be able to share even more content and videos that you want. And if you want to know everything that there is to know about English pronunciation and the secrets behind pronunciation and conversation in English, then I have good news for you, because I have everything compiled all into one shiny little course. Or if you prefer to learn by book or audiobook while you're commuting, I have that option for you too. Just click the link in the description below to check it out. But let's get back to learning. Let's do some listening practice. First, what I want you to do right now is to turn off the closed captioning. I know it's lovely to have all the words read for you, but seeing the words written will absolutely mess this up for you. And next, I'm going to ask you to grab something to write with. Use your phone, use pen and paper, whatever you've got. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and listen to a sentence being spoken. Write down what you heard me say, not what you think I said, but the sounds that you actually heard. And there's no wrong answer, because if you heard it, you heard it. Then pause and replay that sentence a couple more times. Then repeat what you heard me say. Maybe there's sounds that are missing. Maybe there are sounds that were added that you didn't realize. Then I want you to pause and replay and focus on the singing or the intonation of what was said. Then lastly, I want you to pause and replay that sentence and listen to the stress. What part of the word was emphasized or kind of sung a bit louder or higher pitched? Draw a little line over the sentence and point out where you heard the highs and the lows. Again, there's no wrong answer. All right, let's go. Actually, that was his favorite restaurant to go to. She lost her dentures last night, poor thing. There are over 340 million people in America. Usually people feel comfortable there. They're all practically geniuses. Now, if you'd like the answers, you can always go down in the description below for a free download. Now, I'm not a betting woman, but in this situation, I bet you'll be amazed at some of the things you heard and didn't hear when listening intentionally. If you do this exercise daily and begin to do intentional listening in conversations or when watching movies and TV and YouTube videos like this, I promise you, it'll be like your ears just opened up for the first time. In the comments below, I would love to hear some of your answers of the things that you actually heard rather than the words themselves. Type it below. And if you want to get to the next level, learn all the secrets of contractions and English reductions that occur in speech, then click on this video because that's where you're going to get all the information you're looking for. So I'll see you there. Bye.